I want to thank our new Sovereign Grand Commander for giving me a few moments on the program this morning to offer a few personal thoughts at the time when we move into a new and exciting era of leadership in this Supreme Council. I also want to take just a moment. I know we've acknowledged so many people, but I have two very special friends here. I think they're over here somewhere, but I can't see them with the spotlight. But the immediate past Sovereign Grand Commander of the Supreme Council for the Northern Masonic Jurisdiction and his lady Grand Commander John William McNaughton and Judy, I believe you're here and about. I thank you so much for being here and being present at this transition. I had asked Bill last year if he would make an effort to be here, and it's just what the McNaughtons do, is help you through signal points in your life. He and I have enjoyed such a close relationship over the years. Many of you know Bill spent most of his time making fun of me, as we ever had the opportunity to share so many grand banquets, and there are a number of different stories that he has, and you'll have to see Bill to hear those things. Bill, Judy, thank you so much for being here and being a part of this. Folks, I found myself over the past few moments thinking more and more of this particular moment, sometimes with great anticipation and sometimes with considerable approbation. You know, as Soren Kierkegaard once observed, there are certain points in your life that you approach with fear and trembling. And this may be one of those times because you think, how do we together get through this thing and somehow manage to do this with a sense of dignity and composure? But in fact, how do you say goodbye to something that has been a part of your life seemingly forever? How do you say goodbye to individuals with whom you have worked in a common cause day in and day out? Not only the staff at the office, but the members of the Supreme Council, and indeed Freemasons and Scottish Rite Masons throughout the entire world of Freemasonry. Over the past few weeks, I have received so many cards and letters and emails, notes of affirmation and thanks and well wishes, that it's really hard to enumerate them all. I think probably of all of them, the greeting cards, you know, the Hallmark cards, they're probably the best with their notes of warning. There's the guy with his pot belly standing in his boxers on the scales with a note that says, "Retirement causes you to eat too much." There's the guy in the easy chair with the comics from the funny papers over his face with the warning that retirement causes you to sleep too much. Of course, there's the guy with a red nose and bloodshot eyes and a martini glass standing sentinel that says in retirement you tend to, well, you know how that goes. Then, of course, the scariest one is the guy with the completely clean desk, the inbox completely devoid of all emails, dressed up, and no place to go. I don't think that's me yet. But although retirement is about new horizons and new opportunities and new hobbies, it's also a wistful look back at some of the things that will never again be a part of your life. But really, I would rather use just these last few moments, literally the last moments as Grand Commander, to speak not of myself, but of the organization that we all hold so dear to our hearts, and to which each of us have pledged our love, our energies, our enthusiasm, and to commission you, to rededicate you, to renew your vigor for the Scottish Rite, and all that it can be. For this organization rests upon your very shoulders. Indeed, what we do here and worldwide is entirely up to you. My story is told. The chapter is written. The record is there. Judge it so, for good or ill. Pause and reflect, but then move on. If I have one last order as Sovereign Grand Commander, it is this: let no man come into this chamber and say, well, Grand Commander Seale did it this way. You will dishonor me. You will dishonor our legacy, for we should be looking forward. It's time to write a new chapter, a new adventure with new excitement and opportunities, and yes, even dangers lurking in the dark woods as we go along. But let us begin the journey. Let us write that chapter. Could I suggest, but maybe an opening line, once upon a time, for that will be here. But folks, let us also remember finally that Freemasonry is a communal experience. While a lot of our study and reflection and contemplation and learning can take place in the silent enclaves of the library, true Masonry is a brotherhood. It's fellowship, it's communion, it's brotherhood is a shared experience. Indeed, we even learn as a beginner that Masonry is not something that we can do by ourselves or for our benefit alone. We're dependent upon each other. We rely upon each other, and our very inspiration, if Masonry is to have any meaning or potential at all, is between two people working together. If it is to progress from the hollow shell of a musty ritual and old traditions that nobody doesn't care much about anymore into a vibrant fraternity of men, then we must of necessity see our fellow member, that man to whom we have the audacity to call brother, as someone of equal worth and equal value to the craft, as much to be honored and respected as we claim for ourselves. In my 24 years on this Supreme Council, 16 of which as Sovereign Grand Commander, I've seen strategic plans and long-range visions and mission statements more than I can count. I've seen committee after committee, study after study, reported, bound up in 3-ring binders, read by few, and implemented by less, and eventually coming to nothing. I've seen the reports electronically submitted to torture others in the form of PowerPoint presentations. I don't like those things. Graphs, numbers, charts, pretty colors, flying animations, and watchful. It comes to nothing. Am I leaving on a note of cynicism? Absolutely not. Forbid it so. But as we water the leaves, let us not forget the roots. Friendship, morality, and brotherly love. Throughout my tenure as Grand Commander, I have seen us at various points along the way both remember and forget the lessons of brotherly love and affection. I've seen what happens when we remember to honor our brother before ourselves and when we forget to do so. I've seen us celebrate and encourage the advancement of others and achievements of others before ourselves to the benefit of the craft, and when we forget to do so. Magnanimity and peevishness both attend close at our elbow. I've seen men come together to reconcile differing points of view and differing visions, and at other times when the rule of the day is my way or the highway. And I've seen what happens with both. I've seen those who collect titles and regalia and honors to adorn their chests, while others devote themselves to honoring and building up another. And therein I have seen the measure of a man and of a leader. I've seen the craft flourish and suffer. I've seen it advance and retreat, all at the hands of those who have been entrusted with the responsibility of leadership. Now, to some, hopefully a very few, this will all seem like a bunch of sentimentality and mush to be thrown out with the coffee grounds. And to those few, to those very few, I can say that your cunning is to be acknowledged. Through subterfuge, you have managed to slip past the unguarded West Gate. From our first steps in masonry to our last, we see that this is a shared journey in the company of others, folks, flawed and imperfect as they are, just as we are ourselves, in the very communication and whisper in our ear as we become a master mason. It is done on certain points of fellowship, which we soon discover we could never have received by ourselves. Only by keeping our eyes clear, our hands willing, and our hearts true can we hope to gain admission to that inner sanctum of the craft, where we meet on the level, act by the plumb, and always, dear brothers, part upon the square. Let it ever be so. Let us ever be true. Let us ever be united, respectful of receiving the great honor of being accepted and received as a member of the brotherhood. Take me as I take you, my brother, always together, always united in the common quest to share the light in a darkened world. In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. May it ever be so. Amen and amen. So mote it be. Thank you. Thank you, folks. Thank you very much.